The listener questions and scenarios have been rolling in, y'all. Can you call elk from private to public? What is glunking and when do you use it? Early season bull scenarios, growling bulls. What's that all about? And what do you do with it? How do you know when to put on a scenario or to move on? When do you call at a bull and know how to call away from him? Today, y'all, we answer all those listener scenario questions and a bunch more we've been saving for the right time. And that time is right now. So my friends, pull up a chair, adjust your volumes just right, and welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunting.
Welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunting, brought to you by ElkBros.com, with your host Gilbert Ornelas and elk hunting coach Joe Gillia. You want to hunt elk, and they live to hunt elk. Their goal is to share with you what they have learned grinding it out for over 35 seasons, doing what they love. So come on into camp and set a spell. Welcome to Blue Collar Elk Hunters.
Hello there, everyone. If it's your first time with us, glad to have you. Hope you enjoy our show. And as always, for our blue collar hunters following our show out there and grinding it out with us every week, welcome back to Elk Camp. I'm Gilbert Ornelas, the host of your show from Spring, Texas, and from Katy, Texas. That's right. We got the leader of the Venezuelan Mafia with us, Mr. Luis Gonzalez. And from Las Cruces, New Mexico, the Gila Ridge runner himself, one of our elk hunting coaches, Mr. Eric Aragon, is in the house. And from Cimarron, New Mexico, that's right, your elk hunting coaches are in the house. Mr. Leroy, the Ninja Chavez, is in the house. And WWJGD, you know Joe Gillia is in the house, and he's ready to tee it up and hit it deep, fellas. What's up?
What's up?
Hey, well, we've got the crew here with us, man. Luis decided to join us this week, man. We're not chopped liver no more. You know, but we did have an election last week. I just want you to know, bro. You can serve under me. I mean, we're
still number one in my heart, bro.
It's a coup, man. There's no democracy here.
Absolutely not.
Wow, man.
This is a full dictatorship for sure.
We figured you'd be used to that. Yeah, so
that's cold.
Unfortunately. But I'll tell you who is more used to that is Manano when he hangs out with me, man. That's
for sure. He's the slave.
Happy birthday, bro. Happy birthday.
Yeah, man. Happy birthday, my brother.
Yeah.
Thank you.
4-3.
4-3. That's right.
4-3. So get this. It just seemed like yesterday, 3 years ago at 3 o'clock in the morning, in the middle of the night, my phone blows up and I get up there and there's a video. It's a video chat from Luis and Manano, and they're doing karaoke singing.
Oh my God.
From his birthday live there in Katy, Texas, man. It was awesome.
It was wild. It was a big party, man. We had a ton of people. We had a nice folk music group out here, and it was a ton of fun. It was pre-COVID, of course, so I mean, we didn't realize what was to come at that time. So
look, I'm gonna tell you, my brothers can kill elk and hogs and everything else. They are absolute assassins, but they can't sing.
Hey, but we can dance.
I ain't lying about that, bro. Y'all get down with the best of them, boy.
My wife is like, "Who's that?"
Wrong number.
Unbelievable.
I can't sing either, but I enjoy doing it.
Hey, and Chav's coming up here in, gosh, just not too many more days here. This guy turns the big 7-0.
Ooh.
Come on.
Yes, sir.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Gotta let all our listeners in on a little something that's coming up. We're gonna get to reunite the group here in a few weeks. It's gonna be a fun time, baby.
Yep, sure is, man.
It's gonna be a fun time.
Me and Chav and RC are loading up the Taj Mahal, bud, and we're heading to Texas and meet the dudes and go shoot some pigs over there. It's going to be a blast, man. Looking forward.
Yeah.
So,
and hopefully you'll be hitting them this time.
I
I hit him last time. Bro.
Ooh, you say that out loud, Beto? I'm sorry.
I hit him last time, bro.
They don't stand still, bro.
I even
Man, those pigs, they just don't stand still, man. What the heck?
son of a bucks, man. They don't sit still at all.
He's wondering, how I know why y'all hunting my feeders.
Oh, it was. But you guys were blown away. Did not know that you could call in pigs, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're still
right.
blown away about that.
I call them in with corn.
Yeah.
No, we call them in with maize.
Yeah, you cheat, man. You cheat.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, we hunt them over oak trees. They fall in acorns, man. I mean, come on, brother.
That's true. Just a different kind of feed, right?
No, it's the same kind. Gross.
Oh, so some announcements here. Hunt Wars Season 3 applications are happening. And
Oh,
if you
cool.
don't know about Hunt Wars, go on Instagram, go on huntwars.com, go to YouTube and look up Hunt Wars. That's Hunt Wars with a Z, all one word. When you look it up, man, huntwars.com. It is the most incredible opportunity. It's, if you don't know about it, go check that out. It is the most incredible competition there is. We get an opportunity to coach the teams that, because it's a competition, and we coach the teams in the elk hunting part of the competition. One of our coaches sitting right here, Eric, was with them in camp, and
It was awesome.
and things are going to change this year, Eric, because
Yeah.
this time, man, coaches are going to be on the bench checking it out from the field, man. So it's going to be
Oh, wow.
I can't wait, man. I cannot wait.
yeah, it's going to be daggone awesome. So you guys go check it out. Every single one of the competitors this year, the teams, every one of them said the same thing. When they put in, they did not think they had a snowball chance in Hades of winning and being on that show. And it was just tremendous. It was awesome. So, Mountain Archery Fest. So if you guys, Mountain Archery Fest has put out their events. It's one of the best daggum 3D competitions out there, not with one course, not with two courses, multiple courses. They even have a course that is a base map course where there's no pass to get there. You have to go by the coordinates. You have to go by the waypoints to get to the places to shoot. They have one course that's all record, mimicking record animals out there that you get a chance to shoot at. And it's just a great time for family, for people. And ElkBros are going to be at some of those events this year. And we are going to introduce the first ever team elk calling competition. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah. And so team, it's going to be partners. It's not going to be dependent on the skill sets of one person. It's going to be guys putting on scenarios that are going to be sharing their skill sets so that it applies right to the same thing that they would be doing in the woods, man. So, yeah, we're excited about that. And, you know, it's so funny is in most competitions, you're not able to use props, not able to use branches or sticks or anything to rake. Not in this one. If we have the props there for them, they'll be able to use props to add that to their scenarios.
Talk about realistic, man.
Yes,
That's
sir.
awesome.
Yes, sir. So we're excited about that. Another
Hey, you better have some big trees because you get Cole Wilkes work in this scenario, man. He's gonna tear a stage
full
down.
growns. Yeah.
Have a chainsaw on the premises.
Yes. Cole will be raking on his partner. He'll make the noise.
Yeah. He might use his partner to rake with.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
Better watch out. Old Sasquatch is for real.
I'm
And
perfect for him.
I don't know if our listeners have heard about this or if they haven't heard about How for Wildlife. You can go for howforwildlife.org, all one word. And How for Wildlife, if you haven't been noticing all of the attacks that have been happening across the United States on hunting and hunting opportunities with legislation that has been introduced to stop predator hunting, to stop bear hunting, to stop cougar hunting. Shoot, in New Hampshire, it was to stop beagle hunting for rabbits over there. And How for Wildlife is a way for all of us to unite our voice. And it only takes seconds to go in there, add your name, create an account. There's no money. It doesn't cost anything. They don't hit you with spam, but it's a way that they set up all of this ability for letters, for us to sign a letter that's going to go to all the people that are on those legislative committees and that are making those decisions. So as a hunting community across the United States, it lets us swamp people with waves of communication, letting them know that we're against what they're doing or we're for something there. Okay. So that's How for Wildlife, HOWL, has nothing to do. One person thought that it meant that, this was kind of a supportive thing for wolves. No, it's the idea of us being a pack, one voice singing out there. And it's working already. Already in Colorado, they voted down the bill in Colorado to defeat the bill against cougar hunting. In New Hampshire, it defeated the bill in New Hampshire to stop the beagle hunting of out in that state over there. So already the voice is having effect. Now we have battles in Washington. We have battles in California for bear hunting. We have battles in Arizona for predator hunting. So if you're not part of it, go get on there. Be united with our voice. Hey, look. You're not able to look at states like it's their problem anymore, because once this happens in one state, this is a united front by people that are trying to stop this all across the United States. So if you don't help those other states, man, it's coming to us next. And let me tell you something else, man. When they start defeating and you start losing hunting opportunities in one state, then people are going to come to the other states to have those hunting opportunities. We start to choke down that resource, right? Sure. So, man, we've got to be very proactive, and this is a great way to do it. Yep. Okay. Mm-hmm. And last, guys, man, it just came out now that we're 2 weeks out. So it was 2 weeks ago from today. Yep. Mark Livesey's podcast on e-scouting. How cool was that?
It was awesome, Joe.
Yeah.
Awesome. And could have went another 2 hours.
Absolutely. And it blew up, man. It's just going nuts. Sure. And so listen, all you guys out there, if you want to save $20 on his e-scouting masterclass, go use promo code
ElkBros, baby.
ElkBros. Yeah. ELKBROS. All one word.
The good thing about his course too is it's good for 2 years. It's not a 1 year subscription. So 2 years, and you can use that. I mean, I've been on it. It's incredible what he's put together, and it'll take you some time to grind through it. But boy, you put 2 years on that thing, you're going to be deadly.
He's a great guy.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, Luis, you would have loved it, man. It was like, it was
fantastic.
So technical, dude.
Yep.
No, he sounds like he's got the whole passion behind him too. All that.
Yeah. And what was so cool was Mark had just recovered from COVID. Yeah. And
matter of fact, that's the reason we had to cancel with him a couple of shows before that. So.
Right. And, he was just like down, had been feeling like it, man. And he got on the show with us and we all started talking elk hunting and you could just see the fire, man, just coming right back.
No, let up.
Yeah, absolutely did. Hey, what up? I'm gonna change the volume in here so you can hear these guys here. So give me 1 second.
Right. Okay, guys. So what he's doing now is we are all live. Everybody who's here is part of the live broadcast of the ElkBros podcast. Blue collar elk hunting right here at its finest.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry I missed the intro there, Big O.
Yeah, that's all right, brother. You can pick it up on the podcast when it rolls out, man. I promise you won't be disappointed.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not sure how loud you can hear these guys here. Let me see if I can turn their volume up a little bit. I'm sorry, guys, man. This is the first time doing something like this, and it's been a little bit different. There we go. All right, can you guys hear him?
I I got him. I can hear him. It's a little bit quiet, but I can hear you.
All right, man.
Not a problem, man. Hey,
I'm
man,
gonna
we
make 'em-
appreciate you having us on with you, brother.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. It's been a blessing to get to know Joe and to find you guys and discover what all the knowledge that's out there. To find
Yeah,
you,
Joe's okay.
be welcomed into the community. Is your elk camp. So thank you guys for being so hospitable and wanting to help out the random acts of kindness deal that we're doing here and be a part of it. I know that's what you guys preach, and I know that's what you're doing and helping each other. And we fit right along that. So thank you so much for being a part of it with us, and letting us be a part of it with you guys as well.
And we love your platform, brother. Thank you so much for allowing us to be part.
Yeah, no, and this means a whole lot to us. This is just a win-win situation. Random acts of kindness, something that we should all be doing every day anyway. And
pay it forward.
yeah, and for you to celebrate it and for the businesses to jump in and celebrate that, we're just honored with that. And I'm sorry, I was laughing a second ago because I saw Joe, Joe established there, said to put Manano on mute. So Joe, Manano's not with us tonight, man.
And I said, not necessary. Nobody understands him anyway.
Nobody understands him anyway. So
We can fill that in later. You're gonna sound really wise when we're done, bro. Don't worry about it. Don't listen to these guys.
Yeah, Joe, tell him that Big O won't disappoint him on the intro, man. We got a good one coming at him.
That's how I heard that. I'll be ready for it.
Sweet.
So you're gonna pick a name? You gonna pick a name?
You ready?
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah,
Let's see
heck
who's
yeah.
gonna win it, man.
Let's pick a name. Okay.
Sweet.
All right, here. So first one that we picked, our random act of kindness winner, first winner of the Blue Collar Elk Academy, Game On Outdoors is nominating Isaiah 1010 for his kind deeds throughout the last month. Adrian at Game On, thank you so much for nominating. The winner is Isaiah J 1010. So congratulations, Isaiah.
Congratulations, Isaiah.
Congrats, brother.
That's awesome, huh?
Congratulations, Isaiah.
That's it.
And
Yeah.
10.
And dude, we will you DM me. So DM ElkBros and just give us your email. We'll set you up with the account. We've been fixing everybody up, get you on there. And the only deal is, man, you put that bull down, you got to send us a success pick. All right.
Thanks, bro.
And a story.
Yeah, that
Yep.
sounds good. That sounds good.
I'm so proud of our 505, the guys that are here. We got the Cruces Ridge Runner right here. We got Chav over here. We're not gonna say a whole, but you know what? I think Gilbert and Luis are kind of New Mexican by heart, man. So
Absolutely.
Dude. We're in search of property.
Without having to disaster, so that's pretty good.
absolutely, bud. Peace, everybody. Thanks for having us on, Armando.
Hey, thank you guys. Take
Good
care.
night.
You betcha.
All right.
So Joe, what about Waypoint TV? What's that all about?
Oh, okay. So Waypoint TV, I totally missed that. And just so everybody knows, if you tried to go to our old Buzzsprout page, I've actually redirected that now because our Blue Collar Elk Hunting podcast was picked up by the Waypoint TV network. So you can go to podcast.elkbros.com. You can go to elkbros.com/podcast. You can go to elkbros.com and click on podcast and you get to our podcast page, or you can go to Waypoint TV. And look, I want you to do this anyway. Go to waypointtv.com, just all one word, waypointtv.com. And they have such an incredible lineup of outdoor shows and outdoor podcasts. It's all right there for you. You don't have to go searching on all this stuff to find these outdoor shows. You're gonna find Elk Shape there. You're gonna find Blood Origin there. You're gonna find Western Contours there, and you're gonna find so much more as well. And it's just a great place to go if you're an outdoors person and you're looking for that content. Also, if you went to some of the other links and you looked and you're like, I just got an email from the Billy Goat, man. He's like, man, I haven't seen a show since like January 12th. I'm like, no, dude, because he was going to the old link. So
Gotcha.
yeah, I just want to make sure everybody knows that. So there we go.
Well, all right, Joe, you know what time it is. It's time
Shout
for
out.
the Elk Bros shout out.
Shout
If you're new to our
out.
show, this is just a shout out to a few cities with the most listeners topping our charts this week, Joe.
Yeah, man. And what I'm going to do first, though, man, is we did get a shout out. We got one from our brother Vinny, man. Here he is. Let me share this with you.
ElkBros Grinder here from Washington, heading north to Prudhoe Bay. Hey, did you guys catch that last episode they dropped? I would say 2 weeks ago. You check it out. Nothing but great stuff on e-scouting, even if you're staying in your own state. It's Vinny heading north. Peace.
Right, Vinny.
Yeah, Vinny.
Yeah, Vinny Farrell, man. Oh, and there was something else, Luis, man.
I know. We got my brother Brandon Fields, and he wanted the leader of the Venezuelan Mafia. Joe misspelled here. He said mafia leaders, but no, he wanted the leader of the Venezuelan Mafia, the one present, to give a shout out to Warner Robbins in Georgia. So, brother Brandon, thank you much, brother. Appreciate the support, and I'll let Manano know that that you also recognize me as the one and only leader of the Venezuelan Mafia. So, a lot of respect.
You snooze, you lose, bro.
All right. This week's top listening city is located on the western slopes of the Black Hills in the Rapid City metropolitan area and took its name from a nearby creek, which is named after a Sauk chief. In May of 2020, it experienced a large sinkhole, 40 by 50 foot wide, that opened up into an abandoned gypsum mine, seemingly bottomless pit. A resident there was mowing his lawn when he felt movement under his feet to realize he was only 1 foot away from disaster. The sinkhole displaced 12 families, but get this, the affected homes and family home insurance would not cover the repairs and expenses because they did not cover sinkholes. And this is in Black Hawk, South Dakota. That's
Black Hawk, South Dakota.
Yeah. Top listening city, Black Hawk, South Dakota.
Black Hawk. Yeah, man, you're mowing the lawn and you got the headphones on listening to the Elk Bros and you feel vibration under your feet, man, and you look back and the earth is gone. Could you imagine? I mean,
yeah, it's crazy, man.
What's crazy is one of our clients was drilling a well up there in East Texas, and all of a sudden you could hear it was like a jet engine running up underneath the rig, and the rig started listing. So the earth was actually running out from under the rig, and what we drilled into was an underground river, and that water had come up and started washing out and creating a sinkhole, and they actually had to we threw everything in that hole we could to stop the erosion, but there was no stopping. I mean, we threw pallets, every sack of barite we had, we threw everything in there, and the rig started listing. So they're worried about the rig falling over, So it's a big drilling rig too. I'm talking a big triple that's, couple thousand horsepower, and it wasn't no little hole. It encompassed the whole bottom side of the rig, and the rig's got a huge footprint underneath it, under its structure. And I'd never seen anything like it. But when you'd walk up there to the structure, you could hear that river. I mean, it sounded like a jet engine underneath you, Wow. And they had to get everything off location and get that over there and drill actually a relief to that so they could stop that sinkhole from spreading. So it was crazy, man. They poured cement for days in that hole, man. It just kept washing down river. It was one of the most amazing sights I've ever seen.
And somebody downriver ended up with a lot of concrete someplace.
Well, that's the thing, is you don't know where it was, because I mean, it's 600-700 feet deep under there, so you don't know where that river was running.
Unbelievable, crazy, man. You don't mess with Mother Nature.
Absolutely not. Joe, this next city is located in the northeast Alberta province, in the middle of the Athabascan oil sands, and it's surrounded by the boreal forest. North America's bird nursery, which is a part of the largest intact forest left on Earth. It was originally settled by the Cree people and then by the Northwest Fur Company in 1790. The Hudson Bay Company then bought it in 1821. It was named after a company executive in Fort McMurray, Alberta, Canada.
Our brothers and sisters up north, man. Fort McMurray, Alberta, Canada.
And I think that's Athabascan.
Athabascan, yeah.
Yep.
Athabascan oil sands.
I was like, oh, Gilbert will get this, man. I mean, he's been to every doggone oil place in the country, you know.
Well, one of the places I haven't drilled is in the Athabascan oil sand.
Yeah. Well, you better put that on your list, man. Founded in 1834, this city prospered with the discovery of oil and gas deposits during the 1880s. The city was named after Salina, New York. The city's claim to fame was an F3 tornado that devastated the town in 2019, causing substantial damage. Claim to fame?
Yeah, that'll be infamous.
Yeah, infamous, man.
Yeah.
While killing one person and injuring 8 others. It also plays host to many yearly events. Among them is the Governor's Cup Regatta in August, where hydroplanes in 6 different classes race on a 1-mile course on Grand Lake right here in Salina, Ohio.
Salina,
Man,
Ohio.
Talk about a day for the oil patch right here, man.
Yeah.
We got
showing
Vinny,
out.
we got, the oil sands of Alberta, then,
Have you guys ever seen the hydroplane races?
Those are some fast boats, brother.
Oh my God. I mean, they're airplanes on the water, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they are.
Some of them, I mean, if they catch the wind the wrong way, they're flipped.
It's dangerous,
over.
yeah, lethal, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, fellas, I got a killer city this week, man. This is unbelievable. Place here.
Absolutely, you do.
Oh, here we
You know
go.
it. So this place is real rich in Civil War history. It was a major Confederate stronghold and it was once the capital of Louisiana. The city is the commercial and the industrial center for the whole region, and it's known as the Arklatex. Okay, the city was named the captain of the United States Corps of Engineers, and it led the effort to clear. Check this out, the Red River of 180-mile log jam. Now that's unbelievable. And here's something else. Nearby in the Cato Lake is also the site of the hundreds of alleged Bigfoot sightings, which is, and this was actually a topic on the 2006 Travel Channel documentary that was titled Bigfoot. Now, when I got looking at this place, I said right away, we need to have a podcast from Herbie K's Food. We need to get down there. And
Oh,
we need to do
really?
we need to do a live podcast from down there. I mean, this place, it's got culture, it's got
It
art,
does,
it's
buddy.
got Civil War history. You talk about music, Sam
Great
Cooke, if
food.
y'all know who Sam Cooke was, he was
bet.
arrested in 1963 for just trying to stay at an all-whites Holiday Inn. Shortly after that, he wrote a song about civil rights called The Change Is Gonna Come. It's a beautiful song.
Oh,
If you've
yeah?
ever heard it. Man, Elvis has performed there at the Louisiana Hayride Radio. You got film, you got art. They film more movies there, like Welcome Home, Roscoe Jenkins, Mr. Brooks, the list goes on. It was home to a lot of sports. And then this is another keeper. You guys know where you guys ever heard of Barksdale Air Force Base?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's real famous because back when the 9/11 occurred, that's where Air Force One landed. That's where the president, they had to
sure.
stop him getting down a bunker. But it's got famous people, man. I'm talking Evelyn Ashford, the big bad guy, Terry Bradshaw, Albert Bell, Joe Dumars from the Pistons, Robert Parrish from the Celtics, Todd Walker from the Colorado Rockies. And if you like music, Hank Williams Jr. was from there, Kenny Wayne Shepherd. So, man, I'm giving a huge ElkBros shout out to Shreveport, Louisiana, boys.
What?
Shreveport, Louisiana, man.
Hey, I'll add on to that.
Yeah.
A big old patch close to it too, right
Absolutely.
east of that,
Absolutely.
maybe northeast, the Haynesville Shell.
Shell and the
Pretty
Cotton Valley.
popular. And
Evelyn-
a little town there called Shangaloo. I used to eat there all the time while I was working at the rigs up in that area back in.
And look, let me tell y'all about them Bigfoot sightings. That's my cousin Beauregard and Thibodeau and Boudreaux walking through the woods, stripped down because it's too hot.
Yeah.
That's all you seeing is all them boys chasing down crawfish and eating
I think it was Cole Wilkes down there too, hunting whitetail.
Look,
I tell you
Shreveport,
what, Joe.
Louisiana is an awesome town. I've
Yeah.
been there fishing bass tournaments and in the oil field half my life there. It's a great town. We appreciate those guys showing out, man. for sure.
Joe, I think we can skip my shout out because I don't think after that world class shout out that Eric just spit it out there just out of pure memory. It's just embarrassing. We might just keep going, bro.
Eric's just the dude, man. He practices presentations. He's got all that stuff written down, bro. He's got it all written out right there, man.
Kidding me, man? I was like, phew. Yeah, you had to put me right after him too.
I get paid to talk, fellas.
Hey, Eric,
man.
Evelyn Ashford. He brought up Evelyn Ashford, right?
Yes.
Most
Terry
people
Bradshaw.
don't realize Evelyn, man, was so fast. She ran on her boys' 400-meter relay. She was so fast, dude. She ran on the boys' 400-meter relay. That lady was smoking. And then, he mentioned somebody else that I think you talk about the GOAT. I don't think he really gets the credit he should most of the time because Terry Bradshaw is not only hilarious, not only funny, but that dude, man, the Pittsburgh Steelers,
He was a winner, man.
Oh,
four-time Super Bowl champion.
Yeah.
4-time Super Bowl champion. And people want to compare stats, right? Right? They want to go, well, yeah, he was 4-time, but did he do this, and that? Look, that was the day when there was none of this targeting. That was the day when there was
you could kill a quarterback. Yeah.
Oh, that was the day when Dick Butkus wanted to take your daggum head off, right?
Sure. Different era for sure.
It was so different. And to be an Iron Man like that during that time, man, woo, yeah. Terry
I'll be in
Bradshaw.
Shreveport when I retire, man. That's one place I got a list of places I'm stopping at in the world in all 50 states. Is Shreveport. I'll see you guys soon.
Yeah, it's a great town, man. You'll love it, and the food is amazing there.
Yeah, baby. Podcast time. Let's do a live one there.
All right,
Love
tear it up now, Luis.
All right, this stop listening city was named after London, England in 1773 and after Scottish-Irish immigrants living nearby Londonderry, New Hampshire, a seaport city and port of entry of the northeast coast of the United States. It is located none other on the James and the Thames River, an inviting college town surrounded by lakes and mountains. It is the perfect destination for recreation, dining, shopping, and sightseeing. The city was originally called Heidelberg, New London, New Hampshire.
New London, New Hampshire. I like it, bro. I like it.
Dude, man,
From the deep south to the very eastern seaboard. Here we
Drop
go,
the mic
baby.
on that one.
Oh man, I had a little bit of hiccup there, but it's kind of hard to follow Mr. Aragon.
So cool, man. We love all our listening cities, man. Thank you guys.
Absolutely. And if anything, Luis, man, all these guys that are listening to this at 10:30 at night, 11 o'clock at night, you just woke somebody up. That was like a thick cup of coffee, right? That's cowboy coffee right there. All right, guys, this is so cool because we've been asking for people to send in scenarios. And actually, I've been saving up scenario questions and some elk hunting questions for quite a bit of time. In fact, I found one today that I missed way back from Taylor Larrabee. So we've got all kinds here, and we get a chance now just to get cranking. This is y'all's show. You've been sending these in, and we're going to do our best to have a good time with this and give you some good answers, give you some nuggets, hopefully help some people out. And we're not going to tell you we know all the answers to these. Remember, this is like what we would do. There's a lot of people that do things different than we do, and we don't know it all. Absolutely not. Now, well, wait a second. Well, Chav does, but the rest of us, we don't know it all. So, we're going to do the best we can to do this. And
unless you got the ninja with you. When you got the ninja with you, you don't need much else.
That's right.
And since we got the ninja,
ask me how I know. Ask me how I know.
Chav, why don't you start it out then?
Okay, the first question comes from Justin Skelton from Garden City, Kansas. And it's a two-part question. The first part says, if we aren't hearing any elk talking back, at what point do you transition from moving from drainage to drainage? to stopping and putting on a show or changing to a completely different spot altogether.
And then
The
he has a
second part-
he has a second question. So let's handle that first one first of all. Said we aren't hearing any elk talking back. At what?
But are they talking?
Yeah.
You know,
At
that's
what-
my first question to him, but are they talking?
Right.
They ain't talking back, but are they talking?
At all. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
are
have
you
you located any?
yeah, are you dealing with quiet elk from the beginning? So, you know, because when they ask this, at what point do you transition from moving from drainage to drainage to stopping and putting on a show or change to a completely different spot altogether? So I'm gonna let some of you guys hit this first. And go
I
ahead.
think there's importance in sign.
We
Yep.
100% need to establish that there are elk in the area, right? And that would mean whether I would put on a scenario or not.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What time of day is it? You
Yep.
know, where are you in terms of that, in terms of your timing, you know?
Are you hearing any elk
Exactly.
around? You know,
Mhm.
if you're not hearing any elk around and you've not seen any sign, fresh scat tracks, you know, dew drags from the morning. I mean, any of that stuff, blown up trees, fresh.
Is it windy?
Yeah.
What kind of calling are you doing? You know,
Mhm.
are you getting it out there? You know, there's a lot that can play into that.
There's a lot of elk that won't talk back, especially a lot of these satellite bulls and stuff, especially early in the year.
What time of year? Yep.
Yeah. Especially
think it's
early,
a-
they won't talk back.
I think it's important too, you know, it also depends of where you're at with your hunt, you know, because normally when we start out our hunt or, you know, we plan for 7 days in the mountain, right? So the very first day we're going to do a lot of walking and, you know, evaluating.
Scouting, basically.
It's
right?
scouting, yes. And
Yeah.
then you're looking
Hunt
for
scouting.
sign. And then so I guess at that point, if you realize that there's good sign, but you're not listening as you're kind of trying to do locating bugles and trying to just hear something, then it's a good time to kind of move from drainage to drainage to explore more area. But and you would stop, and to me, you would stop and put on a show after you've been walking for a little bit. You're not listening to anything. Maybe you can try, you know, on the second day visiting a similar area if you got good sign, and then at that point try putting on a show. But when you want to really completely change to a different spot altogether is when the first 2 days really haven't yielded any good signage at all. You know, if you don't see sign there, I mean, even after the first day, it's like what we did this year, right? I mean, or this past year, we just went to a place, we weren't 100% sure. We moved, saw a really good sign, and we decided to stick with that. And then they weren't talking. So, I mean, to me, this is very similar to what we went through this year, this past elk season.
Chav?
Yeah, and we knew there were elk there, so we did a bunch of scenario-based calling, which in the end is how I ended up killing my bull.
Yeah. Chav, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that, you know, like the guys mentioned before, you know, if you don't hear anything and there's not any sign around, you do want to change location. But if you are calling, and again, you can actually sit down for a while and call and give it a little bit of time, you know, maybe up to a half hour. And if there's absolutely nothing, just continue, you know, go try a different
Drainage to
area.
drainage, yeah. Keep
Yeah.
moving.
So the only thing that, you know, a big question for me is like, when you say that you're not seeing him, well, what part of the drainage are you in anyway? Are you in an area where the elk are going to be? Are you at midday up in those northeast facing
Bedding
areas, up in
areas.
bedding areas where you can check?
Mhm.
Are there? Are you checking? Because my favorite thing to do when I'm struggling is I like to side hill, find a trail that's working that side hill and start following an elk trail, man. And, you know, because they are going to, even if there's no track on it, I want to follow that because number one, it's going to give me the easiest way to walk. It's going to take me from someplace elk have come from to a place that elk are going. And as I'm doing that, I'm going to learn the quickest way to get places. And most of the time, it's going to take me to either a saddle or it's going to take me to a ridge or it's going to take me to a knuckle trail that, I talk about those all the time where, two drainages kind of come together and at the top where they like to cross up there in the top, are you someplace where you're going to see, smell, hear, because I hear you talking about hearing a bugle, but I think a big mistake people make is hunting bugles and not hunting elk, right?
100%.
And when you do that, that gets to be a real frustrating day because you can put on a lot of miles just throwing out location bugles and then moving on. And you don't even know a lot of times how many times you've thrown out a lot of bugles and you just keep moving and other elk are actually coming to you. And by the time they get there, you're already long gone, right? So, are you able to get someplace where you can try to look with your eyes to see different areas, to locate if you're seeing something there? Are you seeing tracks that are going up and down? Like the guy said, when I'm going to put on a show, I smell fresh urine.
Yeah.
And if I'm smelling fresh urine, and let's say it's 10 o'clock and I'm up near a bedding area, I'm putting on a show.
Heck yeah. Perfect time. Yep.
Absolutely, man. Or if I'm down in a bottom and I have some scent coming down and it's first thing in the morning in the dark and I have elk scent on there. Well, number one, I'm going to first hunt into the scent a little bit. I might do a little bit of cow call. I might not. It depends on how strong it is. And then if I'm in that situation where it starts to get daylight and I don't see them, man, I'm going to put on a scenario. And here's the biggest thing is that sometimes, well, we're going to come to that in a little bit. I don't even want to throw that one out there early. It's just too early to do it. But if I'm covering those tracks and those trails and I'm hitting on those places where those elk should be, and I'm not finding fresh droppings, I'm not seeing fresh track, I'm not smelling urine or an elk out there, or I'm not seeing animals anywhere, then yes, I'm moving the heck out of Dodge. We're out of there, man. And I'm like out right away. And if we get in an area where, now we've gone 5 miles and haven't seen anything, it's time to pack up and move. And we're going to do that. All right. Second question, Chav.
Well, the second part, when you get a bull to respond and you start to close the gap, at what approximate distance do you start throwing your calls behind you? Do you call toward him until you set up, or do you direct all your calls behind you once you're 200, 400, 600 yards away? And I think as long as he's responding, you can start throwing your calls behind you almost at any distance. Because at 600 yards, if you're calling behind you and he's responding, you can continue to close that gap. And as you get closer, you definitely want to keep throwing them behind you as you go. So
especially inside of 200.
Oh, definitely, for sure.
And read what he's doing, because if he's coming to you when he's doing that, you don't have to do a lot of calling, man.
Sit still, get prepared, get ready, set up.
Yeah, absolutely.
They'll close that 200 yards in seconds.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you get in and you read what that bull's doing. That bull's coming and you can hear him screaming. What I might do is I might hang a little worm out there just to set the hook. I might throw just one slight cow call, and it doesn't have to be loud. And you might be like, well, they can't hear it. Let me tell you what, man, if he's coming in your direction and he's not screaming at the time, he's going to hear that when he's coming in. Buddy. And you just need that. You just need to hang a little piece of bait out there just so he knows which direction to go, and then so he can't pinpoint you once he gets in there, right? But here's the critical thing. When you're doing that, when you set that little piece of bait out there,
not at him.
Well, and not at him, behind you, and make sure you're in a good setup, because this is your opportunity. This is not an oh crap moment. This isn't something where you look and he's there and you just got to get ready, man.
Yeah, make sure he can't hang up.
Yeah.
Look at your topography. Look at your, your cover, your backdrop. And if you need to, if you feel like you need to get ready, just make sure that you clear out stuff around you, your branches and stuff like that. But when I was actually making the comment at not at him, is that if you get that bull responding, don't engage the bull directly. Just play your own scenario and almost as if ignoring him. We have our own party here. It's up to you whether you want to come or not. Kind of.
And if he's coming there's no need for a party, man.
Don't even need to say
Exactly.
nothing, man.
Yeah. If
yeah,
you-
you're-
Let
I
him
agree.
come on.
I agree.
You're just
Let him come
hanging
on.
a little bit out there. You're just like, yeah, here I am.
And you'll
baby,
hear the
right here.
inflection in his bugle too. You'll hear that scream, that he's really worked up, right? When he's giving you that, dude, all you need to do is pick a place to set up and draw your bow.
Justin, if he's at 600 yards and he's cranking and he's still bugling without me saying anything at 400, I ain't saying a word, man. I'm just moving to him.
Just
And I'm going to
moving.
get in. I'm going to get in on him before I do something as close as I can using the terrain. And what I meant before
And
was
the wind.
when you're absolutely got to have the
Mind
wind.
the wind.
And
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, because that's something I always just take for granted. I got to do
Mind
the,
the
I mean,
wind.
that's just something that's ingrained in us now, right?
Mm-hmm.
But is that stop and scan spot? Where can that bull come and stop to look for that cow that he's hearing? You've
I
got
like your analogy with the doors in the house.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Where they're coming and checking each room, man. Wherever they can come in and they can stop and scan, trying to find you. You want to be to where that's in your effective range. Your setup is going to determine whether you kill that bull or not. Okay,
100.
there we go.
Great question.
That was a real good one, man.
Yeah.
This is Jesse Carpinetti from McKinney, Texas, man.
Just up the road,
Yeah.
right down the street from Manano.
And Jesse, I actually called Jesse on the phone. We had a conversation about this. And it was a good long conversation. We could have had a podcast on it, man. But he goes, glunking. You guys talk about it. Do that again. Do that again, Luis. I didn't quite hear it there. I heard it the first time. You guys talk about it all the time in the podcast. What does it sound like and how do you perform it? Do you do it while calling or while lip balling? When and why would you use it? So I should have went and got a video of a bull glunking, because if you've never heard a bull glunking, but do you remember the first time you guys ever heard a bull glunking?
Yes.
Well, what did it seem like to you?
It sounded like somebody rolling a tin can together. Like it was crazy. It was the wildest. I thought it, and then it sounded like somebody driving a trailer down a bumpy road, and it was vibrating. And I'm like, what in the world is that? And these two bulls come rolling up on me, man. They were glunking, and then they went like Fist City, crashed, fought in front of me. It was nuts, man.
That's pretty good, Luis. Man. Our brother Guy Duplanche says that he can do it with a diaphragm, and I haven't figured that out yet, man. And one day I was just trying to figure out how to produce the noise, and I just took my tube here and I put it under it. And if you've ever heard a bull when he's glunking, he's like, sometimes he's moving and sometimes he'll move fast. And when he does it, he gets that little,
Yeah.
it's like a little, it's not,
Yeah.
he just gets that.
And Jesse, you got to know the only time they do that is when there's hot cows, like a smoking hot cow. So it's a whole rut fest scenario there. And that's something in your calling that you can really lay in there and get a bull's attention, because it mimics there being a hot cow there. And they only usually hear other bulls doing it when there's a hot cow.
And I have heard them when they're just tending them too, Gilbert.
Yeah.
So the main thing that it sends is the message that there's a bull with cows.
Yeah.
And and generally there could be a hot. You join that with the other.
Yeah. Panting.
Yep.
You join that with that. Right? You join that sound with that. And that's how I do it, is I just take the front of this and I just right on the front of it. That's how I do it. And I don't do it. these are the ones that we like to use. Now, lip balling, see, lip balling can be different things. A lip ball can, when it's done in a certain way, can almost be like a challenge bugle. It can also
Definitely.
be like a short display bugle. When it goes longer, it's towards another bull. When it goes shorter, it's displaying for the cows, man. So, you know, yeah, you can do a lip ball bugle that's a display bugle. And then you've got, when you do that, you're kind of sending a message and you add some glunks to it. But I generally do the glunks when I'm doing like some raking, I'm doing some pants, I'm doing some whining, you know.
When I'm introducing a hot cow, I'll use that. If
Yeah.
I'm working a scenario where I'm, you know,
Yeah, like a slow
Absolutely.
play.
Slow
Doing a
play,
slow play
exactly.
for
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
Absolutely, man. Because if you do it in one of those hot cow scenarios,
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
you're pulling boys in, right?
Yep.
They want to come
You
and
bet.
see.
You're talking to her. You're not talking to them. So
Right.
Yep.
So Eric, do you use the grunt tube to do your glunking, or how
yeah,
do you?
I do it just like
Just
Joe
like
does.
Joe.
I mean, I can use
Set it.
both ends, but I like on his particular the soloist.
Mhm.
I like it there. Some of the bigger tubes, like on the big
The
old
bats.
the bats, my hand's a little bit too small
Too
to
small,
like
uh-huh.
cover it up,
Yeah.
so I'll pop the front of it. So
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and it
yeah, I do the other side with that.
yeah.
Yeah. No, that sounds good. Yeah. The backside.
Yeah, and really, you know, it's not like a bull is going to go, well, that glunk is a little strange.
No,
know?
man.
Right?
They know what the deal is.
Yeah,
It's an indication for them that there is bulls with cows, and it's kind of the last thing. It's the deal sealer.
and I actually like to introduce mine a little earlier, and sometimes
Yeah.
I've used it all by itself in there,
Yeah.
just with some of those moans and pants and some whines in there. But let me tell you on the other side of it too. If you ever hear a bull glunking, he's on top.
Close. Yeah.
He's close, man.
I was
Close,
it's funny.
close.
I was just going to say that because you have to understand that for them, when they hear it, it's close. This is close distance type deal.
Yeah. Real close.
I remember a time me and Joe were putting on a scenario for Brother Chav, and we were behind him, and there were some bulls down below us, and we actually had a barrier between us, and we needed to call them across that barrier, and we did. But it was not until we started doing the glunking and the panting that they picked their heads up and were like, oh, wow, we heard y'all cow calling and bugling, but here we go. We got some party going on up there. And dude, they came up there like they were looking for the party, brother. And the sunlight we had us a decoy with us, and the sunlight kind of kiboshed us when we got behind the decoy. But at the end of the day, the glunking part and the panting part was the stuff that really sealed the deal. So, and I go back to a lot of these scenarios that Joe and myself and Chav have been in. What a learning thing that since we've dove into speaking the language now that I can take away from the learnings that we've been through, and now I go, oh, no wonder it turned out like that.
And,
it makes a whole lot of sense.
And don't be afraid to try it. Glunking is like bugling. Every elk has a different sound.
Yeah.
So, give it a try.
And I, to support what Gilbert was saying, I've had people, look, I'm no biologist, but I know people that have said that they make the sound because of the way they're using their tongue off the top of the roof of their mouth, trying to pick up that odor, those pheromones of a cow in heat. So when Gilbert says that there's a hot cow in there, that's generally what it's signifying. But, it just seems like, generally when there's a cow in heat, you hear a lot of bulls screaming a lot of times, following them up. And man, I've just heard those bulls all morning long, following along his cows, and you could hear that glunking going through the hills, just like he was tending or trying to pick up that scent or waiting until one of them did come in estrus. So it's really a cool thing, and it sends a message out there. If just like we hear it and go, he's close and he has cows. When a bull hears that, he goes, he's close. The girls are close because he has cows. right?
Exactly.
Same message, man.
All right, this question comes from Taylor Larrabee.
Oh, yeah. And I just want to say, this is a question that I found from some time back, y'all. Okay.
Cool.
So what would a good calling sequence be when an early season bull responds to a bugle and he wants to buddy up? Also, how do you know if he even wants to buddy up or what the situation is after you close the distance? Also, if you have a group of bulls you're trying to pull in that are in a batcher group, what calling would you use for that situation? Really looking at that August 30th, September 10th timeframe. So that's a pretty wide window, August 30th to 10th. That's your calling strategy is probably going to change a little bit.
Yeah.
I would say from like maybe August 30th to the September 5th. And then from that point on, they're, so you're talking like more pre-rut. These bulls are bachelored up, so they're going to display a lot, they're going to announce their presence. So what I typically do in that scenario there is I'm not too aggressive with my calling, but I will get out and I'll display myself. I'll not just calling, I'll do some raking. Exactly. So
they'll be sparring a lot too.
Yeah, they're doing a lot. Now, Luis, you came up on a group of bulls.
Yeah.
How many of them? There were about 7?
About 5 or 6, yeah.
Yeah. And that was a bachelor group together. Had you been doing any calling before you came up on them?
Oh.
Now, when you did come up on them, what kind of sounds were they making?
Cow calls.
They were doing
Bull
mews. So those were bull mews, right? Because they're not cows.
And they were sparring. They were sparring and just doing a lot of that sound.
Yeah. And
just advertising bugles, things like that. Because the thing is too, is if you're going to do those scenarios, good chance them bulls are not going to make a sound when they're coming in early on. They're going to come, they're going to want to see. Now they may start raking, you may hear that, but you're going to have to be really patient on that type of scenario. If you know there's bulls in the area, you better have your head in the swivel, because they can come from different, they can come from behind you, whatever.
Yeah.
So Eric, you mentioned like from the 30th to the 5th, right? So I found that sometimes there's about 3 days in that beginning of September when there's always an early estrus that pops.
I agree.
And as soon as that happens, man, all of a sudden bulls start screaming like crazy because they're testing their voice up to then. Like you said, they're advertising, they're buddied up, they're sparring like Luis talked about. But then if there's a hot cow that comes in heat, I mean, how many times have we killed bulls on that first or second day of September, and bulls that are, and sometimes they're bachelored up together, but just because there's cows that are coming heat in the area, you can get them to be aggressive and get them to come in, you can get them to sound off. And then all of a sudden things, we've been seeing it, right? Then that stage happens sometimes from like the 5th to the 10th when things go.
Or dead.
Yeah.
It's dead silence.
Exactly. Yeah. You could also
depending
be
on
in
the weather too.
You could be in a situation too. You could be in a situation there too where you could have a bull that's just bachelor up on his own, but he's up in a bedding area. So you got to know kind of where you are, because he could be very territorial, and you start announcing your presence there, boy, you could really get that guy fired up, and he's just going to come after you. So he could be very aggressive on you from the start, but you got to know where you are. If you're using your maps and you've been, you kind of got your area scout out and you go, hey, this is a bedding area. Typically you could start hearing a bull just by himself and really getting aggressive off the front end of it. And a lot of times that's what it is. He's very territorial to that.
And you hit on a big thing there, Eric, because a lot of people don't realize that bulls are early on because they've been like in this area and they can become territorial, and they'll kind of check their areas there and start letting other bulls know, hey, that they're the bull of that area right there. So you're absolutely right. That's a good way to get them in. And when you said this, what would be a calling sequence when an early bull responds to a bugle and he wants to buddy up? Well, first of all, you're trying to read whether, like you said, how do you know he even wants to buddy up? Right. Well, generally in that time of year, all of them are going to want to check out the competition. So that's why we do things. And most of the time, look, our philosophy is we're lovers before we're fighters.
I'm figuring to say that, Joe. Absolutely.
Yeah. And in that time of year, when you're letting out mews, it's not necessarily that you're doing cow mews. you can be doing bull
Bull
mews as
mews.
well, right? And they'll come into those multiple will, and
Especially
they'll
that.
come in silently to that.
Especially those younger satellite bulls, Joe,
Mhm.
you know, that are
Great
younger and they're looking for a little fam to hang out with. You know, I've always said you want to be a lover first before a fighter. Chav and I actually eased into a big group of bachelor bulls, and we used the wind, we used our woodsmanship, didn't say a word, and actually got in the middle of them, got within 12 feet of about 5 of them, and they were again near a barrier, and we had to, you know, move them in a direction that we needed to. And I didn't need to do anything, but as the wind would swirl, they'd kind of get a little sniff of us and weren't really too sure. It was the finesse bull mews and finesse cow and calf calls that really piqued their interest, though. But away from me, way away from me, I'm calling, right? That's what really got them going. So when you're in a big bachelor group like that, you always want to make sure that you're not pinpointing yourself, you're calling away, and how close you are to that bachelor group pique their interest, right? They're always wanting to see cows and calves and other bulls as well. So if you can make I wouldn't say a plethora of sounds, but some really subtle sounds.
Like herd talk.
Yeah, like herd
man,
talk.
that herd
man.
mentality.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they get real curious, and those younger bulls are always gonna come and check it out, man. You know, and we finally got one to play the game the right way. But how long did that take, Chav? That was a long scenario, right? Wasn't like it happened all at once. It was a real long scenario, but you kind of got to feel it out as you go.
Yeah, it seemed like a half hour, huh? But
At least.
it was
Yeah.
probably less than that.
Yeah.
But every
Mhm.
once in a while, when they would sniff something, they'd get kind of antsy, and you'd call, and you'd settle them down.
Yeah.
And out of I would say 1 out of the 7 or 8 bulls was really curious about the cow call and wanted to head down, and the other one just wanted to play around.
Yeah.
So it was just
It's also because Beto's pretty stinky, and the hogs on the Red River can tell you that.
Well, the thing is you think about it, you know, a lot of those bulls, when they're buddied up like that, they're buddy because their testosterone hasn't gotten worked up yet, man.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
they're just not there. So, you know, if they think it's another bull and they hear bull mews, or if a lot of times your best call is even just a chuckle instead of even doing a bugle, because it's a non-confrontational,
Yeah,
and
it's
you know, a lot of those
non-threatening.
bulls will just chuckle at you. But let me tell you this, that early part of the season, everybody always thinks of a location call as being a location bugle. And my location call that time of year is a mew through a grunt
Yeah.
tube, man.
Yeah, buddy.
So, you know,
Absolutely.
the first call
Yeah.
that I give is going to be just like that, without a grunt tube, because now I just want to be able to check close, you know, in case there's something there. And then it's going to be, that's all I'm going to do. And that becomes a location call that
Right.
they're going to answer. Now,
Right.
if you give a location bugle and you get nothing, and you give a location mew and you get a response, stay with the mew,
You exactly.
right? Stay with the mew, man, because they're telling you what's pushing their button, and that's going to get that. So when we start doing that, and you asked about the scenario, what scenario once we close in? Here's my scenario as I'm going in. I'm going to face it this way just so you can hear it, but it would be behind me. That's it. That's my scenario, man.
Come here.
It has a rhythm to it, and if you notice, it's far, and I'm throwing it in different directions, different lengths, different volumes,
Inflection.
just to give an idea of a small little group of bulls or cows, whichever way is
Yeah.
Kick some rocks, move
Yeah,
some trees
man.
around, make some
Yeah.
sounds so they hear you, because that's what
Yeah.
they're doing. They're moving around.
and be
And
checking.
their curiosity will kill the cat. I promise you. They are a curious animal. anyway.
Yeah.
That's why when they booger and they take off from you, if you can cow call or bark at them, they will stop and turn broadside, right? So don't let none of that freak you out, man. I mean, I'm serious. Chav and I had those bulls at 12 feet. I'm serious. I could have probably reached out and poked one of them with my bow at one time, and we held our nerve. It was really hard, I'm telling you, but we held our nerve and didn't get spooked. And they got spooked one other time, and one of the bigger bulls kind of started like he wanted to run off, and I did bugle, but it was a real kind of a. And that was it. And man, he was like, oh, there's another bull over there too. Man, he come trotting right back, So I at that time, I thought they were all fixing to bail. So, hey, man, you try to do something that'll gain their attention. And that was the deal sealer, was me making herd talk. And then all of a sudden one had to come over and figure out what was the deal. And, we put him down.
I've also seen where there's bulls out there and you're like giving cow calls, you're doing that, and they could care the freak less. It's like, they're like, hey, we're standing out here. You can see us. You want to join us? Come on in,
Right.
I've seen them just
they ain't fired up at all.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah, I just don't have the testosterone level either. They're just not there. But
Yeah.
they'll answer. I probably use a lot more bull sounds, honestly,
Later in the season. Yeah.
than I do later in the season. Exactly.
Yeah. Joe and I had one time, we were between some bulls and cows, and we got them coming on a string, dude. They are coming. They're going to pass right in front of us, 25 yards. I'm fixing to stick one of the biggest bulls in my life. And a bull blows up above us, probably quarter mile, Joe?
Yeah.
500 yards.
There were two bulls that blew up over there. Yeah.
Yeah. Two bulls blow up over there. They throw their heads up and look at one another, and boom, they're gone, buddy. They go to the bull sound. They left these cows down here because none of them were.
Why, bud? Remember why though? It's because those bulls screaming signified a hot cow.
Hot cow, exactly.
And they had been with these cows and ain't no hot cows in their group.
None there.
So
because they weren't saying a word. They were just with them cows, checking, sniffing, whole 9 yards, and then boom, they hear the blow up yonder, and Joe and I looked at each other like, how in the world could this go wrong?
But I want you to remember the date of that too, bro. It was probably like the 16th or 17th of September, right?
It was,
yeah. So, when you're talking that earlier on, I mean, those were bulls that were actually with cows. They were cowed up or following cows. And now they hear some other bulls that are displaying. So that pulls them off. So there's more bull talk going on there. That early season, I tell you what, man, Luis and Manano have been with us on the script. Chav knows the whole script. You know the script, Gilbert, man, where we're just moving and sound like 2 or 3 cows, man. That's it. And we're going slow, especially in areas where we're smelling or we've had a bull that sounded or we know that they're working a ridge. We're just moving slow and we're checking forward and to the sides, man, because they are going, and listen for rocks rolling, listen for twigs snapping, and take your time because those boogers will come into you.
It helps to stop every once in a while and just
no doubt, because Taylor, they'll come in silent, bro. They may sound off away from you, and you hear him like he wants to buddy up, and you're closing the distance too. He might not say another word, but he'll be in your hip pocket in 35, 40 seconds, So be aware of your surroundings. If you get one to talk to you, very, very good possibility he won't say anything until he rolls up in there.
What were you going to say, Luis?
I said every once in a while it's very useful to stop too and just listen. Take a couple minutes and just listen. You'd be surprised how much you stop hearing when you're just walking through the woods.
Yes.
Yeah. Good point.
Cornflakes.
Yeah. My hearing's not as good as it used to be, but all my military background and stuff like that with artillery. So I have to make a point to be more patient like that. Cause I don't hear as good. So if you do have somebody, a good partner with you, it's got better hearing, that's an advantage. But if you
Dago
don't have
Manano
good-
could hear a mouse
Yeah.
piss on cotton, man. I'm
He
telling
had
you.
1,000 yards.
it's awesome.
You
Yeah.
sure can. That's the advantage of having a slave with you when you're hunting like that.
That was a good question, Taylor.
Great
Yeah.
question.
Gilbert, you get Dayton.
You bet. Mr. Dayton Rogers of Milwaukee, Wisconsin writes in, so many times I've had elk screaming across the fence on private property from where I hunt. Is there a way to call them across to public? I've had
No,
others
it's
say
impossible.
it's a waste of time. If it is possible, what calls would you use and what setup right close, and would you set up close to the fence?
It's impossible. I'll just tell you that much. Can't do it.
I'm gonna let my brother from another mother, Mr. Joe Giglia, hit on that real quick because we have, you heard a little bit about what we did, me and Chav, and I'm gonna give you one of the best bulls I ever killed in my life. Joe brought him in from, man, Joe, that rascal is at least a quarter mile off, maybe
My first
further.
bull as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, look.
If Joe can hear him, if you guys can hear him, you can get him there. I promise you. He's
Yeah.
got to be in the right frame of mind. But I'm gonna leave this.
I brought bulls from the potato patch over a half mile away, man, over in there. And look, you've got, if you have bulls screaming over on the other side on private property, that means that they've attracted a ton of satellites, because when those other elk hear those bulls screaming like that, that signifies a hot cow. And there's some of those guys, man, that have been working and working, trying to get an opportunity. And then now if you give them something, some low-hanging fruit or something a little better, they will go look for another opportunity. You can create that opportunity. Yes, you can absolutely call animals off private property, but you got to give them a reason to. Now, does that mean you're going to call the herd bull? You can call a bull with 30 cows over there? Look, number one, if you're trying to get the herd bull, you're not going to call the herd bull. You're going to try to call the cows. And you're going to try to call the cows in either by going towards their mating part, by trying to sound like a bigger bull than the one that they're with, giving them a better choice because they want the biggest, baddest bull to breed with. So that's one way that you can pull cows. Another way is to go by their maternal instinct. What's that, Luis?
Lost cow calls.
Maternal instincts with a lost calf call or lost cow calls like that, or combining some of those. Like we put on our scenarios where we can sound like a big bull with cows, and then maybe even throw out in between, like we're working up on top of a ridge, and then we come physically move and go down and sound like a lost calf, lost cow in between there. So that bull knows that, whoa, there's an easy pickup right there. And a lost calf sound means that there's a mama in the area, right? So that's something that attracts those bulls, but you have to be active and you have to give that picture to make it happen. But you can absolutely do it. And you're doing it not by, so here's the thing. You're not trying to engage that bull. If you get a bull responding, you're not going to turn and start screaming at that bull. You're not going to start doing challenge bugles. You're not engaging with him. Stay within the story set that you're doing until that bull gets so worked up and comes within the distance that another bull would tell him to stay away. Right. And then just stay within your scenario of that hot cow. I guarantee you that bull will come in and he will get so doggone worked up because you're not paying attention to him. And he's going to try to call those cows in. Now, when I talk about bringing the bull in, I'm not, again, talking about that herd bull. I'm talking about a satellite bull that probably responds and starts moving to you. Most likely silently at first, maybe silently all the way in. But a lot of times they will start taking your pulse. We always talk about it, to take the pulse of a bull, his mode, his mood, right? They do the same thing as they're coming, man. They're going to advertise because they're advertising to the cow that you have to find out, well, how big and bad is this dude I'm coming? How many guys are over there? How many cows are there? Is the cow responding to me? I'm coming in because I want to be part of the party. So it doesn't mean that he's announcing himself because he's going, I want to fight. No, man. If that bull comes in, he doesn't want to fight. He wants to breed, right? So the way that you can bring in a herd bull is by bringing his cows. I just told you 2 ways.
Yeah.
And now, most likely, if you're working them and pulling off, you're going to pull off a satellite bull. Most likely. All right.
And I'll take every one of them that come in.
So will I. So will I.
Look,
Yeah, and I think there's something important to mention here. Obviously, you know, we all strive to be very ethical, and we never want to shoot an animal on the private side of the fence,
absolutely.
right? So you know, something to keep in mind too is when you shoot an animal that just crossed the fence, their natural tendency is to go back to where they came from, right? So I mean, just make sure that you're comfortable with the shot you're taking, that you're sure that animal is going to die within the boundaries. But if it doesn't, you know, have the courtesy to make the proper phone calls and do the right thing by demonstrating, hey, this is where I shot him. Here's blood on this side, before you even go into private property looking for an animal, and don't get yourself in trouble. I mean,
use the terrain too, man. Determine what the terrain is doing and try to be off that fence line about 200 yards, you know?
Right.
And so here's the thing as well, is I have found when does a woman look the most attractive to you? When you can't have her, right? Right? When they're leaving and they're not paying you any mind, it's like, whoa, same thing happens with these bulls. So when you start talking to a bull, let's say I'm only 100 yards off the fence line, or I'm 150 yards off the fence line, and I get a bull that's reacting to me, I don't want to stay in that area. And again, depending on what the topography is doing, right? If it's thick treed, well, that's a totally different deal. If there's any kind of openings, you got to consider the topography. I don't want to be where a bull has to be in an opening to come to me being on the edge of a trees. So I'm going to use the topography and, excuse me, and I'm actually going to move away. I am going to move away like a herd moving away. And as I move away, I'm going to try to continually go, sounding like that herd moving. Then if that bull he's starting to come and he's doing that, now I get a chance to come back and maybe throw out, like I said, that little piece of worm bait. I can throw out a lost calf. I can throw out one cow mew and let him know that, oh, there's a lagger, right?
Joe, can you show him what a lost cow or a lost cow sounds like? Can you show them what it sounds like?
calf.
Yeah. So
or lost cow, lost cat.
And then when you get that, you know, you get that
a bit
little
more desperate,
pitch, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So
that is money. When I tell y'all, when these bulls are wondering what's going on and they start firing up and you hear that bull across that fence, if you do that lost cow call like that and he sounds like he's getting closer, just don't even say anything else. Just wait and listen to see how close he gets. If he fires up again, hit him again with it. And if he keeps on rolling, you got the recipe. Now it's about you moving in, like Joe said, the topography you need for him to come to you, because he's already fired up wondering what's up, right? So, you know, Dayton, you can absolutely call that bull across there. I'm telling you, we almost abandoned this bull that I killed a few years ago that Joe called in for me. I don't know if I can get him right here, but this bull right here, Joe called in for me. We almost left him. He started calling
right now. Put it up closer to the camera. There you go.
See it?
There you go. Now we see him.
Yeah, there we go.
That bull's black. You see how black that bull is? Well, what happened is he was so worked up, he got in a wallow, and we almost left before he was done out of that wallow. But as soon as he got out of that wallow, he bugled. And I told Joe, I said, man, I heard that bull down there again. He goes, well, hang on just a second. And he hit the lost cow call. And as soon as he did that lost cow, dude, that bull just erupted. And I mean, here he comes. So we just shut up, didn't say another
And I'm doing
word.
it behind me, not at the bull.
Like that cow's moving away. And he's like, hey, I'm over here. And she's going, no, I'm over here. Right. So then he threw a little bit of like a buzz in there with it. And then, dude, As soon as we saw the bull emerge from the timber on the other side of the border, we just shut up, didn't say another word. And he didn't just call him across the barrier. He called him up the mountain to come find that cow. And I'm talking not a little ways either, a couple 100 yards up in a very steep grade, right? So when people tell you ain't calling a bull uphill, you ain't calling him off private. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, that's bull. You give him a reason and you work on your strategies and not necessarily have to talk to him, but show him that there's something else going on. I promise you, brother, you call them bulls over there.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, no, and also I think something that's important to mention, especially when you set up like that and you're destined to bring something over. You're obviously going to be working on an area until you hear some action from the other side or some movement, right? So, because obviously at this point you're just kind of you're throwing your calls and you're listening for a while and just kind of waiting for a response. And then is it closer? Is it further away? But you're really concentrated on that one animal that you're listening on the other side, right? Well, keep your eyes open. Keep your ears open, because more often than not, you'll have silent satellites like he's mentioning, probably coming from different angles at you. And you might have an opportunity quicker than you think. You may be concentrated in one animal, but get something else.
Joe, how long do you think that scenario took to play out?
Oh, probably 45 minutes, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's 2 points on that, man, is that number one, first I want to say, do not set up on the fence. Do not set up on a fence.
No.
You know, you're asking for trouble there. You know, get off of it, pull that guy. If you can pull him over the top of the fence, you can pull him to you. All right. And you can pull him 200 yards, 300 yards, 400 yards. Okay. You can do that. Second thing is you can't be static. You got to be dynamic. So I try to sound like a herd that's moving away down a ridge, coming back towards him, moving away again, physically doing this, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of work. I mean, I sweat my butt off sometimes up there trying to sound like a herd moving in different directions and making noises and sound, doing that scenario to make him know that. So yeah, about 45 minutes.
Yeah, one of the other things I would try to, just depending on the scenario, there was a scenario last year where there was some private land and bulls are going off, but this bull was calling the cow to him, right? She's pleading with him and he's calling her to him. He doesn't want to come for whatever reason, right? He's just insisting that she's calling. Now, one of the things, a good thing you might want to consider doing there, if you're playing that scenario where you're pleading with him to come to you as a hot cow and he's not coming, just kind of like Joe was saying, is turn yourself and head out, calling like you're still hot, going away 80, 100 yards, and then run back to where you initially were, because good chance he thinks you've left. Now, what's he going to want to do? He's going to want to come and scent check where you just had been calling from. He wants to see if there was that hot cow. He wants to smell her.
Yeah.
That could be a situation too, where you're shutting down. He thinks you've left. He's going to come to smell it out and go. I mean, you just got to kind of read all those things. They're smart. They're very smart animals, man. It's hard to pull. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I tell you another thing that helped us too in that hunt and on others is we did have our predator decoy, right? And when he got a sight of that rascal, he went, oh,
confirmation,
great point, man. Wow. And that settled him down even to come walk in the set, right? On several occasions, I've seen that happen, man. And so, Dayton, always have your predator decoy with you and be ready to rock and roll. Cause I'm telling you, that's one of the coolest things to watch is you call him in and then he gets confirmation. No doubt there's a cow or, another elk in the area, man. That's it. He when they feel like that there is another elk there, they're coming. Right. And they're going to join the party, man. And then you get to celebrate like I did with all my bros. It was a horrible place where I killed that bull. Oh my God. It was like a 6-hour pack out. It was horrible. But at the end of the day, we got it done, didn't we, Joe?
Yes. Yeah, but you could also be there at the wrong time. You could actually be intercepting those animals when they're on that private side. You're hearing them. But if it's early in the morning, they're heading to a destination. They're just moving through there.
Right.
That could be you got to just kind of know what time of day it is. There's a lot of factors that go into
And that's a
that.
great point, man, because a
It is
lot of
great.
times they might have gone over there to bed there, or it might be when
Correct.
they came down in the evening to feed there. So you got to know what that group, and you can actually read them if you start to, just take your time, be present, understand, listening to them, because if they're gone there, then they're going to come back off. If they're bedding there, they're going to come where they just came from to feed, most likely. All right. But one thing that I want to add that Eric talked about, like when you have a bull that is demanding for a cow to come to him, when he's doing that short roundup bugle, or he's doing that display bugle, like, get your butt over here, right? And he's showing that frustration. Sometimes you got to give him a reason why that cow hasn't come to him, and you can start to introduce some bull sounds.
Yep. Yeah,
And to
correct.
make him think that, wow, she has a bull with him. And then that changes the situation right there.
Yeah, that's a great point, Joe. Great
Yeah.
point. Yep.
All right. So I'm going to handle this one. Bob Collins, we know the Billy Goat from
Billy
Rochester,
Goat.
New York. And he said, this was really cool because I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this, man. On our Colorado hunt, I had a lot of bulls just give a low growl. And they'll do that. It's just like, just give that low growl noise like that. It's kind of, you hear it like that, right? Grinders tuning in, thank you for listening to the Blue Collar Elk Hunting Podcast. Our goal is to share our knowledge and help you flatten that learning curve so that you too can have some of the very same incredible experiences that have given all of us here at ElkBros a lifetime of memories. If you like what you hear or see, you can get all of this information plus so much more from our Base Camp Elk Hunting Training Camp, the first in a series of online courses from our Blue Collar Elk Academy. Our Base Camp Training Camp allows me to use my coaching style and share almost 40 years of elk hunting experiences successfully hunting elk on public lands, as well as over 20 years guiding hunters of all ages and experience levels. This course will be like nothing you have ever experienced in concept and structure, using success-based coaching techniques that will elevate your confidence and skill sets. Our camp will prepare you specifically from that final moment most in your control, those final minutes or seconds the elk is in front of you, backwards through each step and level, allowing you to see, visualize, understand, and relate every coaching point to what lies ahead, the next step, the next thought process, the next success. Because y'all, you've already been there. You know what it looks like. By tapping my 30 years of teaching and coaching experience, our camps are developed considering multiple learning modes with text, visuals, audio, as well as video. And Base Camp will benefit those new to elk hunting all the way to the 10 to 15 year vet. So if you are looking for that one thing to help you fill that tag this year, invest in the most important piece of equipment there is, you and your elk hunting knowledge. You can find the Blue Collar Elk Hunting Academy and the Base Camp Training Camp at ElkBros.com. That's ElkBros.com. Keep dreaming of the screaming, believing in achieving, and most of all, keep grinding. And he says, I'm thinking they had cows and we're just letting them know where he's at. I got one to come in with a challenge bugle, but he came in silent. We tried slow play, breeding, raking, and just cow calls, but could not get him to come to us. Tried to put the sneak on him, but the wind or a cow would always bust us. Did you guys run into this low growl? If so, how do you handle it? I do feel the low growl was because all the pressure from the large amount of hunters in the area. Well, so look, here's the thing with the growl, y'all. When you have a bull with cows and he does that growl at you, he's warning you, stay away.
Back. Yeah.
He's heard you. He thinks that there's another bull over there. He's busted you, but he thinks you're a bull that's close and he wants you to stay away. So if you're going to just use a breeding sequence, or if you're going to use cow, it ain't going to work. He's got cows. He's telling you to stay away. He's got his gals, right?
Right.
So that's
Now
not
you
what's
gotta
going to work,
challenge him.
man. Yeah. So you got two choices: get in on his bubble,
Yep.
and then try to call his, then talk to his girls, right?
Yep.
See how he responds to that. Get so tight that it's fight or flight. It's going to be one or the other. Either he's going to come with you and to fight, or he's going to take them. He's going to run off, or you pull the cows, and you do that not with bull sounds, but you do it with those lost calf sounds, right? Those regathering mews and things like that. So you just got to think of the situation. He's got a bull. He's going, stay away. He doesn't want you in his dish. So go get in his dish. All right. Or bring his dish away from him.
Yeah, I might use a cup. If I'm getting into his bubble, I know I'm close, and I'm going to call that his cows. I'm gonna throw a couple of mews at him that goes right into a bugle all at the same time. So he knows I'm not talking to him. I'm talking directly to his cows. Yep. And see what he does.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a little regathering bugle.
It's a good.
And then if he comes back at you, you just step on him.
Step on him. Yeah.
You step on him as soon as he pipes up. You step on him. That'll make him really mad. And usually you can get him fired up like that, Joe.
How'd that sound?
Perfect.
Way better. Yeah.
Good.
Way better.
So,
and like I was saying, Joe, a lot of times if he comes right back at you, you just step on him as soon as he pipes up. You cut him off. And a lot of times that's enough challenge that he's like, all right, dude, we're going to see who's baddest in this deal.
Absolutely, man. If that dude, and you'll be able to tell if he goes at now. Sometimes when he does it, you're going to hear a roundup bugle and he's rounding up his cows, get ready to get out there. Sometimes we mistake that for a challenge, but cut him off and see what happens with it, man. Okay.
Yeah. I would even, if he's going to round up bugle me like that, he's getting ready to book, I'm taking off right after him, man. I am going to push.
Bugling my way right to him.
Right at him. He's either going to take off running or he's going to come and get me.
Yep.
But I got to make a move at that point. Yeah. Exactly.
You better be ready.
Well, I was last year till I tripped and fell. Did an airplane face plant.
Yeah.
So Chav, take Joel.
Well, them Joel. Turf monkeys went up and got you.
Did you skip Brian?
Oh no, we missed Brian. I'm sorry. Let's do Brian Master.
And don't miss my brother from Texas here.
Yeah.
Okay. This is Brian Masters from Texas, and he says, got in on a herd bull less than 100 yards. His cows were between us and him 50-ish yards. I stayed with lost mews to get in close and switched to regathering. He really acted like he wanted to come, stopped and raked a bit. The cows started giving me the same whiny regathering mews, then started moving off. It was about 9:30 and I'm assuming AM. So I know they were wanting to head to bed. Just wondering additional options to break him loose and close the deal.
You're 50 yards on his cows with him on the other side.
Man,
you get out.
I would have screamed at those cows.
Yeah, you scream at those cows, man. Absolutely, man. You let that dude on the other side know that there's a new boy in town taking his ladies.
That's right. And he's only 5'6", but come and get some.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, you
5'6" with a 28-inch missile.
Yeah, you had nothing to lose. Get after his ass.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be long. You don't want it long. You're just. That's all you want, man. Just talking.
He will turn about face, brother, and he will be hot. He will be pissed off.
Yeah.
All he thought you were doing is more cows talking.
That's it.
He was like, well, there's cows everywhere in here, so they weren't.
The cows are telling him, "No, just follow us. Here we are."
Yeah, exactly. That lead cow he's always going to be following that lead cow anyway. And the only time he's ever going to like round them up and go is if there's something nefarious going on. And as soon you're between him and her. So as soon as you introduce that big nasty bull, dude, I promise you, he's coming. He's got to get between y'all.
He's got the bull on the other side of the herd, and you're on his cows, man. Now, if he's between you and the herd, he can turn and push away, but
For sure.
but man, like that, there's
But when you do call to him, Brian, make sure you got your shooting lane and you're ready to go. Don't be behind something and then you're moving. You need to be where you got an idea about, if you can. I mean, obviously the situation could change, but I would definitely want to have some cover behind me. But I want to be in a spot where I think he's going to be, if I know where he's at between them and them cows, I want to be beeline right where he's going to have to come and get me. I don't want to be behind nothing.
And again, bugle behind you, man, away
Correct.
from him.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't bugle at him.
Bugle at the cows, bugle towards the cows, not at him. Yep.
Right.
Good point.
Well, and even away from those cows, man, because them cows are going to head up too, man, and you might even pull them. There's a good chance those cows are going to come to you. Some
That's
of
a
those
good
cows
point.
might, just if they hear an aggressive bull. So that could happen as well. So you're going to have a lot of eyes you got to deal with. But if you make him think, man, he can come busting through and start hooking some cows and try to come and fend you off. And that's what you want.
Brian, you were so close, brother. Man, doggone it.
Yeah. And now,
Sure.
let me
Getting our academy where you can learn how to close the deal, brother. I promise you, that academy will help you close that deal, know exactly what to do in the scenario-based teaching that Joe's got out in our base camp.
And there's one other thing you could do, Brian. You could have kept your mouth shut. And if you're that close on those cows, just keep trying to stay on the parallel side. You got a lot of eyes to deal with, but you might have that bull come back around to the rear end to try to get those cows. You could just shut up and wait for that bull to present a shot to you as well, man. So that's always an option. Shoot a cow.
He says, shoot a cow.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. Closest thing's going to get an arrow.
Guarantee you.
Let the air out the tire, right?
For sure. If he got in the middle of that 50-yard deal with them cows, he's in trouble anyway.
Sirrah,
We're gonna
right?
let the missile go, baby.
So we're going to end this with something that's not a scenario. I'm gonna save Joel and Chris and some of those other guys for our next time, because we have one here that I want you to scroll down, Luis, to Ed Morris down there, okay, from Louisville.
Yep.
Here you go. It's all urine.
Mr. Ed Morris, Louisville, Kentucky. Haven't finished the entire podcast yet on heavy arrows, but one thing I noticed is nobody ever seems to discuss fletching. 3-fletch versus 4-fletch, blazers versus longer, fletch degree of offset, etc. You may get into it later in the podcast, and I will finish it tonight, but the question hit me and I thought I would forward it before I forgot. How much effect does changing types of fletching have on arrows? Not only the heavy arrows, but the ones in the 460s and 500 grain weight area as well. Ed, this is a great question. And I will be lying to you if I told you I knew and I was an expert about this. And I've been inquiring about this as well. And I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos and trying to learn. A very simple approach that I have taken based on the things that I have seen is that for hunting, especially if you're just hunting elk, them blazer type vanes are the most durable. They have a tall enough profile to stabilize your broadheads, and they're short enough to where they're not going to have a huge impact on the longer veins for drift. I personally like to have some angle on my fletchings. I like 3 degrees. And basically what you're doing here is, yes, those are the fletches I use. And just a little bit of angle, it just gives it a good spin. And with a good spin, you stabilize your arrow flight. What you're stabilizing is against your broadhead, because what's happening is that, and here's something else that you have to think about. If you shoot 2-blade single bevel type broadheads, you want to make sure that that single bevel is oriented in the same direction that those fletches, meaning if you have a single bevel, which is a left bevel broadhead, you want to make sure that you fletch to the left. So in my case, it's 3 degrees left helical. There is a lot of discussion about for fletching, and I believe it has its purposes. I just think that in my mind, adding more fletching on the back is going to add more weight a little bit on the back, so it has a little bit of an impact on your FOC. So again, for simplicity purposes, when you're thinking of hunting, I think those regular, 2.1 inches, I believe, veins are usually pretty good enough for the purposes of hunting. But once you get an indoor,
setup, right?
once you get an indoor ranges for target shooting, that's when you start messing with different fletchings and different options.
Yeah, because to me, additional fletch creates additional drag on going through that animal as well. And, I'm the one that's like not the scientist, man. I say get 20 yards, shoot them mid-body, 3 inches back. And,
we ain't gonna get too philosophical. I shoot both blazers, and are these called victories or what are they called, Louis?
Those are the Q2Is.
Okay, Q2I. And listen, I'm gonna tell you, I shoot both the blazer and these, but these Q2Is are amazing. They fly so good. Of course, when you got the leader of the Venezuelan Mafia building you missiles, dude, I mean, these are bad medicine for whatever it encounters. But it's a really cool setup that Luis set for me, but it's all tuned for my bow, and the way it releases the actual fletching is tuned to the way my bow starts the arrow out left or right. He knows exactly which way that is because he fine-tuned my bow, not only my bow but my rest that was actually off a little bit. So I mean, he gets real scientific about it, but I think you can't hurt yourself going with the blazers or these Q2Is, right? So
I was going to show. So this vein right here, 33 elk with that vein right there. So
at close distance.
Yes, no real science around it. Just about shot placement and being in an incredibly effective range, right? Not all close. I think I had Chav a couple out there a little bit, huh? But and then once a drug pusher pushed these on me, this was the next set right here that took probably the next 3 elk like that, 3 or 4 elk, I'm not sure. And this vein,
he killed a lot more than that, homie.
And then this vein right here is going to be the next one to be used, and that's the Max Hunter. There has not drawn blood with it yet, but I'm anxious to put something on these white ones here. So
it's got a good relatively tall profile for a good broadhead, and it's got you got about 3 to 4 degrees to the right there on that. So it again, for the purposes of hunting elk, I think that's more than plenty. One of the things that if there is a message to be taken is that the fletchings should not be there to correct your arrow. You should do the job up front when you tune your arrow with field points to where it shoots pretty. It doesn't make big tears through paper when bare shafted. So the reason why you put the fletchings there is to help stabilize with your broadhead, because if you ever shoot your arrow with a broadhead and no fletching, don't try this at home. I accidentally did that once. What happens is in midair, that arrow is going to try to turn around on you. So it's going to think that the front end is the tail, and it's going to be pretty catastrophic. So that's the purpose of the fletching. But you have to do the front work on your bare shafts with field points beforehand, because the fletching should only do very minimal there, and it just helps maintain that arrow stabilized and with a good spin.
That's right.
Awesome, man. Great question. And we got more on the next
Absolutely.
time, man.
Joe, what a great night of some awesome questions from our listeners. Guys, if you like what we're doing, please subscribe, rate, and review us. You got to go to Apple Podcast or iTunes to review us. And you can check out more elk hunting content at ElkBros.com. And you can go to Waypoint TV too and look at us there. You can find us down in there all under all podcasts. So, and just a reminder for all our listeners, if you'd like your questions answered on our show, just send your questions to info@elkbros.com. That's INFO at elkbros.com. And like we say down here in the Lone Star State, husbands kiss your wives, wives kiss your husbands, hug your babies, keep your broad head sharp and your powder dry. And we'll see you right here next week on Blue Collar Elk Hunting.
Absolutely.
See you guys.
Peace,
Great
everybody.
Y'all,
questions.
peace.
And Gilbert, what's up?
For all our grinders out there, here's some more music from our brother Tony Wintrip to close out our show.
Tony!
Yeah, Toe.
I got a whole bag of tricks for 5x5s and 6x6. Whether there's snow or a bit of rain or that mountainous terrain, I got a pair of boots that fit just right, and Phelps calls get 'em close to my sight. When I pull the string and I watch that carbon hit, I just elk it, man, I just elk it, I just elk it. I waited 350 days, I watched the wind blowing from all ways, and I watched the path that he walked in the fall. And there's no failure in my head when all I'm tracking is red, with the fist pump to the sky when the beast is dead. I just elk it, oh man, I just elk it, I just elk it. Oh man, I just elk it, I just elk it, I just elk it. I creep up on him like a cat. He's long and heavy like a baseball bat. His body's as big as a rodeo bull. I'm a cowboy on his back. I slip the buck knife under his skin. I quarter him up with a big old grin. And I feel the pack with the gold that I'm gonna be eating. I just elk it. Oh man, I just elk it. I just elk it. Now I'm rolling big when I go through town. This rack is turning heads upside down. The cooler's on and he's gonna start chilling on down, down, down. I just elk it, man, I just elk it. Oh, I just elk